Then I won't read the poem now. I don't even have it right now here. I'm going to go to the first page about childhood. Actually, what I was going to do first, I was going to show you, wait, I put it on the page. I was going to show you the video because I know you wanted to see my Baba paintings. So this is a video that a man from India named Meher Beam, who lives in Bangalore, made recently of a song from a CD that Cliff and I, well, it's my songs and his orchestration, put out a song called Love's River. And this is the title, CD called Love's River. This is the title song. And I just love the job he did. It didn't get as many hits so far as the ones where he just did photos and films of Baba, but I think it's a good display of some of the Baba paintings that have come out of me. So it's about 5 minutes. I hope you enjoy it. I got to move you again. Okay. Is it coming? There it is.
Max, you can make that screen larger.
How can I do it?
Down in the lower right hand. There you go. It's right.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Can you feel love's river flowing gently in your heart? Can you feel love's river in your heart? There is no one who is stranded on the fluid roads of love. There is no door its river cannot find, and the island of your heart will be found no more apart from the one you've never really left behind. Can you feel love's river flowing gently in your heart? Can you feel love's river in your heart? Oh, the days, they are many, and the seasons, they are long. And the years pass in never-ending flow. But the longing of the heart is the finish and the start of this journey you've begun so long ago. Oh, the drama of the soul enacts its scenes as it unfolds, and life's stage and its actors we all know. But the scenes, they all dissolve in an endless flowing love. For all life is a river to the goal. And can you feel love's river lead you gently to the goal? Can you feel love lead you to the goal? Yes, can you feel love's river flowing gently in your heart? Can you feel love's river in your heart? Can you feel love's river in your heart? Can you feel love's river in your heart?
Mhm. Okay. Okay. Let's see. There's one more. Would you like to see another? He did one other video with paintings. Was that interest anybody? Yeah. Okay. It's shorter. I really like the other one too. Oh, there it is. It was coming. Wait a minute. What did I do here? There. No. Wait a minute. Hold on. I gotta figure out. Oh, here it is. I know how to do it. Get out of here. It's this. I want that. Oh wait. I got to get rid of that one.
As we all are learning, as we become ardent Zoomers,
What?
I said, as we all are becoming ardent Zoomers, it's
Yeah.
interesting how much we learn in the course of one evening. I've seen you
Yeah.
in other meetings, Paula, and you as well, Marla. Gilda, this is my first opportunity to meet you. But I just think it's so much fun how time and space has fallen away with the introduction of Zoom into our lives.
Yeah. Yeah. I was going every day for a while to the Arties, and it was like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Here's that other video. It's 2 minutes, but I really like this one. So, let's see. I'll get it big. Is that the right button? That's the problem. Here it comes.
Sometimes God sends a ladder into the swirling water in which a soul is drowning. It's wrong, small steps to freedom, appearing in the moment or recognized later on. If God did not send letters, how could his name be mercy? How could we know his love? Jacob dreamed of a letter while fleeing in the desert and knew that God was with him. Secrecy and grandeur, the wrongs go on appearing unto the needing soul. Later, memory visits elaborate in the night.
Okie dokie. Let's see. Oh yeah, Escape. Yeah, I love that electric guitar solo. Let's see. Go ahead, and I don't see any questions yet or anything. I don't see the chat thing, but I'll go on and oh, I got to wait. I have to move this so I can scroll. That's right. Okay.
Anyone want to ask Max a question?
Doesn't matter. I mean,
I want to ask you a question, Max.
yeah.
Excuse me. Your paintings for me have a strong whimsical tone
Mm-hmm.
and very vibrant colors.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Where does that come from for you?
I don't know. I've been blessed with a sense of whimsy. You know, I don't know. I mean, it got drowned in suffering a few times in my life, but it's always reemerged. And I once there's a on this website I put there was a there was a a nice feature article in the Myrtle Beach city newspaper about when they had a show at the Broadway Gallery there in the 90s, and the guy asked me about the colors, and I said the only thing I could think of was that I used these bright colors because in my family you had to scream to be heard, you know. So I don't know if that's the actual reason or not, but that was what came to my mind. So
Could I say something about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, Phyllis Frederick.
Who's speaking? Who's speaking?
Paula.
Oh, hi, Paula. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, hi. Yeah, Phyllis Frederick kind of answered a question about that for me. She said, we paint our sanskaras.
Yeah.
She went to a gallery once, and this guy it was all dark and it was awful, and she says, I got to get out of here.
Yeah.
But she said, that's what we do. We paint our sanskaras.
Interesting.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
And I've got a question, Max. Do the ideas come to you of what you might want to paint, the images, or do you just sort of start to doodle and it evolves?
Who's talking? Marla? It used to be for a long time when I would finish one, another one would come to me, and I would just, and it would actually have an image. It was somebody, when people used to ask me when I was working with that gallery, what do you call yourself? They wanted me to call it outsider art. And I didn't like that. That was sort of in vogue then. And I said, call me an archetypal expressionist, which never went over too much, but I would get an archetype or a certain, just a certain image and just want to realize that. And some of these, like one that I'll show you, is from a dream I had of Baba in the mid 80s. And I wanted to paint it because I wanted the energy from this wonderful dream, but it seemed way beyond me. But I just started and I sort of chipped away at it, And I think I like it. I'll show it to you. Actually, this was a recent one.
And I'd like to recommend calling yourself a visionary artist.
What'd you say?
A visionary. Call yourself.
Yeah. I've used that at times. Yeah. This is, you can't see the whole thing at once. This is the painting of the scene in the dream. I just finished this maybe a month ago. And I didn't know if anybody would be able to tell what the heck was going on in there. So I gave it a very long title. And it's called, He Gave Me a Honey Cake with Enough Love in It to Bring in a New Age, Not Just for Me, but for the Whole World. Dream from the 1980s, painted in 2020. And it was great. In the dream, I was sitting in the audience, and I had had a dream not too long before, sitting in the audience with Baba. But in the other dream, like Alan Cohen went up to the stage to meet Baba, representing me and a bunch of other people. And it was like I didn't merit going up there myself. And in this dream, not too long afterwards, suddenly he's calling me up, and he just produces this honey cake out of nowhere. And it really was the feeling that there was enough, just what the title says, enough love in that cake to bring in a new age to the entire world. And over the years, though, I didn't think about it much after a while. But in the last year or so, I've really wanted to bring it closer and get that back, because we need the love so much. Yeah. So.
It's a great title. Really great.
Yeah, it works. It's usually just what your intuition gives you. That's what you go with.
Do you sketch in pencil first, and what kind of paint do you use?
These are acrylic paints, and I do some sketching. Yeah, I do some pencil sketching. Yes, a crude sketch with pencil. And then I'm mostly, I think of myself mostly as a colorist. There was a time for many years. I mean, I'll show you some of the paintings from the 80s and 90s. And then I'll tell the story about how Baba, literally saved my life through art. But during that period, and for quite a few years, I couldn't pick up a brush without putting something meaningful wherever I put it. And I always knew what color. I mean, I had just this native sense of color that was I just loved it. And then what actually happened was, it seemed to me, as I became more successful in this gallery, not that I was, I mean, there's a limit. It was still the small fishbowl of Myrtle Beach, really. But I sold quite a few things. And there was a beautiful restaurant called the Collector's Cafe that also featured paintings, and all of us had stuff there that we sold to. But I began to feel that I was very subtly being corrupted and starting to paint for them, whereas the painting had been my salvation and my survival. And I felt myself starting to try to paint what was cool or something like that. It was very, very subtly. You could almost hardly notice it. And I began losing that gift. And I didn't paint that much for a long time until the last few years.
So I'm curious, and this might not be, well, I'll ask it or phrase it. And then if it were possible for us to see a series of your paintings from your early days until some of these most recent, would we see your development as an artist? Would we see some of your own spiritual development reflected? Would it tell us a story about you?
Wow, that's a great question, man. I mean, not man, Mary Ellen. I think that, for one thing, lately, I mean, Baba, I want Baba's figure or face, I want in most paintings. It's just that, whereas I'll show you the wonderful series that was the life-saving one, where at the beginning, I just painted, and it was like every night I went down in a deep well, and whatever would come out, it was like a different world every night. And they weren't paintings of Baba,
Wow.
Explicitly. I'll show you those. Let's see. These are paintings from the late 80s and early 90s. Let's see. Okay, let me move this back.
That last one to me is amazing in and of itself for what I see in that.
Yeah, I would hope so, because it was such an amazing dream. But I just did the best I could, and it was one of the ones that I felt I can never do this. I mean, I'm not one. I'm not one that's dying to paint a room with 100 people in it, and where you have to put details on each person. But that's what needed to be done. So, and I, a number of these, I just didn't. I had the image in my mind, but I didn't think I could pull them off. But it was very interesting. I don't know what others. I'm glad that you saw a lot in it. Certainly I felt a lot in it.
Well, also that one where I assume it's you who's in the water and Baba is standing at the side. It was right after that one, and there's a shower coming. Go back.
I better go back and look, because
yeah.
Let's see. I gotta move
There.
This. Oh, that one?
Yeah.
Oh, that's actually called Mercy's Ladder.
Wow.
It depicts a whole period of my life. I lived in, I'll just tell you about it since you asked. I lived in Myrtle Beach from 1991 through middle of 97. And I'm just going to say this bluntly. I struck out with so many women that I couldn't find a partner. And I just was so lonely. I left town. I just put my tail between my legs and I drove back to my hometown, ostensibly for a vacation, but I didn't want to come back, and I didn't come back. I mean, I came back 20 years later in last summer. And so in St. Louis, so I found myself, and I kept saying to myself, you know, and I would go in the lagoon cabin and prostrate myself. This is great to be able to share these stories. I wasn't expecting, but I think it's probably helpful to some people. Would prostrate myself in the lagoon cabin and beg for Baba to help me. And I guess he wanted me to leave. I mean, that was where his help came from. So so I would say to myself, I'm leaving God to find God. You know, I wasn't trying to leave Baba or anything. So I found myself in St. Louis, and I had these what turned out to be delusions about being a professional artist and writer. And I tried that. I would go to in the afternoon, discipline myself in paint. I have some beautiful paintings. They're like Jungian type paintings. I don't have them in this display, but they weren't, I wasn't getting any more together. I was split, and I wasn't feeling whole, and I wasn't getting any more holes, like spinning my wheels. So eventually I just decided I would start over, give up those dreams for at least for right then. I would go out and get a job. I got a job as a delivery courier with a little company where I could sort of take my time, and I could, you know, write during breaks and listen to books and stuff. It was really a good job, fun job. And and I began doing other things. What did I do next? There was a series, and that was the ladder, the steps to get a simple job. And then at one point I went into therapy. At one point, my therapist suggested that I start dating, and I was dating through the newspapers, and the online dating was coming then. And there were other, oh yeah, at one step, this is a building that my parents bought me. I was living in this little garret, and my parents bought me a condo in this beautiful building, which is it was very inexpensive in St. Louis. It's like $40,000. It would have been $500,000 here in California. Wow. But I wasn't seeing that as one of the steps, because that wasn't something that I was doing for myself. It was nice, and I enjoyed it. But anyway, so I felt like I was climbing this ladder Bob was giving me, and it sort of culminated. I left out a couple of the things the steps, but it culminated in my being on the Baba Talk listserv on the internet and being a fairly active participant. And I went away to this Sahavas in Arkansas. They had a Midwest Sahavas, and I was very lonely there. And I thought, gee, all the progress I thought I'd been making, and now I feel like, you know, is there really any progress at all? And I checked my email when I got back to St. Louis, and there was this one email that said, "Maxie, you're a treasure." I wondered who was trying to put an advertising hook in me and so on. But it turned out to be from this lady who had been reading my posts on the Baba Talk listserv, and she just wanted to share with me that she didn't know how many people appreciated these things that I would write about almost every subject, but she did, and she loved the jokes, and she loved the stories and the poems, and we started, you know, talking and becoming friends. And it's the lady she's actually upstairs right now, washing her hair, but and she wants to still see this when it's in the recording of it. But you know, so we've been together for 20 years now. And Baba just, you know, step by step, inch by inch, you know, climbed this ladder, so to speak, to get myself to a better place with myself and with him. And so anyway, that's the story of that one, that shows the drowning and the ladder. And I walked one night when I was still living in the garret. I walked the 6 blocks through the sort of bohemian part of town. And it was raining that night in the spring. And I stood across from this glittering building that looked like a birthday cake in the night. And I wondered, you know, I said my prayers, and I said, Baba, moving here, I know that's not going to do anything. It's a horizontal move. It's not really a spiritual move for me. But, you know, I hope you will help me when I'm there, and I will keep trying to do what I'm doing. And it all has worked out amazingly, you know. I mean, things aren't, you know, are never perfect on the earth as far as I know, but it's, you know, it's been a wonderful life, like as Jimmy Stewart, you know, said. Okay, now we're going to go back a little bit to, we only have a few more minutes, but that's great. These are things that, some of these things I've never talked about, and it's really great to share, and I hope it's meaningful to others. These are the paintings from the late 80s and early 90s. And I ended up, in my 20s and 30s, I had several emotional breakdowns. And the last one was, I might have been 40 at that time. I'd gone to New York City to live, and I was on Staten Island living with, I don't want to say I don't know if I should say, Baba people. And one of them had some kinds of delusions, and it ended up basically driving me crazy. I was not that stable to begin with. And one day I just snapped, and I spent a month in a mental hospital. And I'm not blaming the other people entirely. It was my own, I was the one that went there. I never really wanted to go there, but I needed a place to live. And I took the hook, and I was in a hospital for a month, and I had nowhere to go. I wasn't going to go back to that environment. And so I made an appointment with my doctor, and they said, "Doctor, might the hospital have any halfway houses that it's associated with to give people somewhere to go?" And he said, "Why, yes, we have 2 halfway houses. Would you like, were you interested in one?" He had never even offered it. He had never even mentioned that to me. I was just astounded, but I didn't show it because I just wanted to do whatever I needed to do to get there. So I went on a tour of this halfway house in a quiet neighborhood on Staten Island, New York. And I felt that now there's hope for me because it was clean and it seemed orderly. It was mostly seemed orderly because all the people that lived there, except for one who was sick, were out at their day programs. But it felt healthy. It's so healthy, I called my mother in St. Louis and I told her, "Mom, I think I found a path onward." So I moved there and I set about trying to live there. And in another 6 weeks or so, I was despondent again because these day programs, I went to a special day program for people that they really were people they really thought had potential and could get their balance back. And whenever I brought up, and I have some really heavy stuff, emotional stuff that I can talk about and have needed to talk about, but God has sent me, Baba sent me Ram Dass to talk about it with, and that Ram Dass helped me through my shame. It's a story that I've told in different places, including Mondley Hall. And people that were very unusual. I really had grace. And here, whenever I would bring up anything that was the slightest bit, psychologically threatening to anybody, the therapist would just stop me because the other people were so fragile. So I couldn't say anything real. And the same thing in the halfway house. The people were nice enough, and my roommate was nice enough, but it was like the guys were like adolescent boys that would, their philosophy was, you'll get better by socializing with the other mental patients in the rec room after dinner. And so somebody would have the TV up really high, and guys would be in the corner doing fart noises with their under their arms and stuff. And it was driving me even crazier. And I just thought I was getting almost as bad as the hospital. And one day I had gone, taken a bus somewhere else on the island, and coming back, we passed an art store. And I just thought, I haven't painted for a while. I'm going to get some art supplies, and I don't know if I'm going to use them, be inspired to use them, but I'm going to take them home to the house, put them under my bed. And one night, the next week or so, it got crazy down there again, and I just sort of quietly slipped out. And I got out the art pad. It was a very, very nice Myrtle pad, I think it was called. Very nice pad of 18 by 24 inch paper, and put my paints out there in a container of water, acrylic paints again. And I sat and said Baba's name. I didn't know what I was going to do. And these paintings were almost like trances. And about 3 or 4 hours later, I think this was the first one of the series. This is called City Self Mandala. It's not the colors are sharper in the original, in the real painting, which I have in the living room. But I looked at it and it was so complete and it said so much, and it was such a world unto itself and beautiful to me. And then the next night, I don't have all the paintings up on this website, but I have representative ones. This is called, these colors are not as bright as the painting was either, but this is called Touching the Soul. And of course, it shows everybody being inwardly united to one oversoul or one golden center. This one started out as a pencil sketch, and then he had some crayon and gray pots, and then he had some watercolor and some acrylics, and finally was what it looks like here, but a little better, brighter colors. This is, I was taking African dance classes in New York at the time. This is called African Dancer. It's the only time in my life when I really was really living like an artist, in the sense that I would walk around the streets of New York, and there's so many things to see in New York, and I would just always carry a sketch pad and be constantly sketching. And this was probably based on somebody I sketched at the dance classes. This one's called Angel of the Staten Island Ferry. I also sketched him. He was a busker playing violin on the ferry that I would take home from the arts. Maybe this was a little later when I was going to the Art Students League. But anyway, really like that one too.
Max, when you lean in close,
Yeah.
somehow
What
it
happened?
causes everything to break up.
Oh my God, that's terrible.
So you
So
might
what should I do? Stay back? Is this better?
stay right there where you are,
All
and
right.
it seems to clear up.
Did we lose a lot of it? Okay, all right. This is the one that Marla now has in her house, because we traded. I have one of hers on this website on another page that she traded a picture of Bob, the painting she'd done of Bob outside the Lagoon Cabin. And this is called Universal Mother from this series. This is called Clown. A lot of people have enjoyed this, called Clowns at War. Works on a number of different levels. Social satire, I guess you'd call it. And these would be different every night. There were several dozen others. And it was just such, and I saw basically no matter what somebody might diagnose me as, or whatever hook I may have walked into that got, helped me lose my balance, inside there was nothing but wholeness. Inside there was nothing but the variety and the color and the beauty and the aliveness that we call God. This is called Angelic Symphony. Has some music pasted into it, musical notes. Ring of Bright Water. Some of these were Sun and Moon and Love. Some of these were done in Myrtle Beach, I think, when I was painting things in the gallery and stuff. But it's all one period. This was Fairy Tale. This was fairly early. I love this one. It's so unique. I never thought of anything like this. I never read a fairy tale like this, but there it is. The Spirit of Music. Another one influenced by the African dance. Some men from Senegal were teachers in one class, and they were so gentle. And my thought was, we say we send them a Peace Corps, but this is their Peace Corps to us. So I wanted to sort of pay homage to the wisdom in these dancers and musicians that I was working with. Eye of Wisdom. And this is an interesting one. I called this a New Jersey River Spirit because it's sort of a facetious, playful title. I don't know where it came from, but I'm fascinated by it. I think it has to do with rage in the process of healing, being healed. And because you see that all the symbols, like the Virgin Mary or somebody worshiping beside him, and he's wearing the T-shirt with the sun and a rattle representing inward turning. And yet, he looks like a monster, which is, I guess, and holding a rose. A part of me, I don't remember myself feeling like that being, but I must have been, because as you said, it's my Sanskaras. And so, yeah, so this was remarkable to see come out. So as I said, these are just a few. And let's see, we don't have too much more time. Let me go to another page, and if there's anything I haven't shown you yet. Wait a minute, I've lost the. Yeah. Yes. I'm not hearing you. Are you muted?
When you did that particular painting, were you aware of the darker colors that you were using? Were you thinking about that? Or I think Marla asked something very similar a little earlier. Was it just coming from within you?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I'm noticing in some of yours, they're very bright and there's a lot of the use of the circle, whereas in this you have
Yeah.
some very pointy, sharp
Mm.
objects and darkness.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just what came through, and I don't have any memory of the actual subjective experience of it, but to me
Wow.
it's a powerful painting, and it's just what needed to come through. Then I don't usually go in really dark places in paintings. I wait. I don't know, and I don't want to do anything creepy. I want to do some things that are about healing. Sometimes you do something to enter a place you've never been before. Like, wait, I mean, sorry. I don't know if you'll be able to see. I don't regard this as the greatest painting, but it's something I did recently. It's the eye searching to make the unconscious conscious, And so sometimes I'll go there to like open a room, but I won't necessarily share that with the world, Maybe I will, but I want it to be something that, I don't want to, make bad scares contagious, I want it to be part of the healing process. So, yeah. Let me see. Let me go back to, there's one other page maybe. I'll show you Marla's painting and Susan White's painting that we have in our home. Let's see, wait. Let me see if I've shown all of these. This will be quick. Yeah, this one was one I just call it, He's Touched Your Perfect Body. And this is another one recently where the higher self just took over something. And it's amazing. You start with this canvas, you're so afraid you're going to mess it up, and sometimes you don't. I mean, I don't know the process. It's such a remarkable process. There's the one I told you to see. This is a recent one called. I've been trying to do the. John, that Barbara, not Barbara, Barbara's my wife, that Bob suggested to Darwin Shaw and some others to think of him 4 times a day and said or watch it 4 different times. And he called it Rest Your Soul, Bob, was what he told them to do, and he didn't tell them how to do that. But I thought I would try to illustrate it. And this is just, I don't know what to say about it. His face. Let's see, the other ones. Hold on, I lost my place. Where is that? Influences, there it is. This is Marla's painting of Baba coming out of the lagoon cabin that we traded the Universal Mother one for this one last summer when I came through Nashville. And this is one that I bought from Susan White in Myrtle Beach in the 90s that I just called, I think it's called Samadhi. I'm not sure if that's the title she gave it, but it's supposed to be the Samadhi, of course. And I just love this one. We have some other ones in our home too, but I wasn't able to get them all up online. Let me talk a little bit about Lynch, with whom I had the good fortune to, to work on a book in the early 1980s. It's too long of a story to tell, but I became, there was a time when I was back in my hometown after recovering from one of these breakdowns in the late 70s. And when I began feeling strong, I moved out. I just felt too strong to stay in the environment of my parents' house and the limitations there. And I just followed an intuition. I went downtown into downtown St. Louis and got a room in a B-class hotel and walked around the streets in the daytime looking for work in all the offices. I'd never been in downtown in my own city, hardly at all. And actually got a job from these 2 guys that told me they were into the occult, and they were nice guys. And I don't even remember what I did, but it was fun working for them for a week or 2. And at night I would walk these, the cobblestone streets of this tourist area called Laclede's Landing. And I would walk into these bistros and cafes holding up a Baba picture and just saying, God is back on earth and this is what he looks like. And sometimes the bouncer would just look at me and go, out of here. And I would leave. And I just would do that, you know. And in daytimes, I would audition for music jobs at some place. I almost got one. But anyway, that went on for a while. And the wind, you know, Francis Brabazon has a book called The Wind of the Word, where he felt he first encountered God in the outback in Australia, in the wind. And I wasn't copying Francis, but I began to feel that same thing. I began to feel the wind blowing me down the street, and I would go where the wind wanted me to go. And after 2 or 3 nights, I think it was, the wind blew me out onto one of the Mississippi River bridges, and I stuck my thumb out. And I ended up a few days later in Myrtle Beach and to live. And went inside the Green Gate. That was what they had then, 1981, and fell on the ground and kissed the ground and ate some of the dirt, I think. And when I was there, still staying on the center, I encountered Lynn out one day in the kitchen, I guess, or the adjoining room to the original kitchen. And I was reading him we were just talking, and then I started reading him from a notebook of poems I had written on the bus ride. I did a combination of hitchhiking and bus to get there. Some poems, and it'd been an extraordinary journey. And I read him one, it was just hardly a poem, it's just one line. It said, and the Lord of hosts is the same as the Lord of guests. And he just went crazy laughing about that. And then he invited me to help him work on a book he was working on. It was, he was writing a novel about the Dutch artist Jan Vermeer. And so I got to spend like 6 or 8 months or something like that, going to the Arts 5 days a week and just typing the chapters Lynn had written overnight, reading them back to him and making edits. And then getting the bonus of being able to talk to him and get his wisdom on so many different subjects. And it was just so wonderful. And I just wanted to say something about that. I don't know. I don't remember if I was painting then, but it was just wonderful. And I had learned so much about art from Lynn's book, it's sideways here, but In Quest of the Face of God. This is a Lynn painting that I used to own. I bought it from Lynn in 1971 for $50. And I don't know if it had a title, but Lynn had done a charcoal sketch and put this orange wash over it. And then his son, Chris, who I think was about 12 then, had happened to come in the room and said, that one's finished, Dad. So I had it for many years. Now, Rafael Villafane in Mexico City. I saw this on his wall a couple of summers ago when I visited there. Anyway, we're coming to the time limit, right, Mary Ellen? You're muted again.
It picks up background noise if you leave it unmuted.
Oh, yeah.
Unfortunately, there's always another meeting, right?
Yeah, I understand. No, I'm not complaining. I didn't want to go over.
I'm just explaining.
Hmm?
Just explaining.
Yeah, so this has been great for me, and I hope you've all gotten something out of it, and whoever sees it on video will get something out of it. And Avatar Mayor Baba Ki Jai. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you so much, Max.
Yeah, same to all of you.
This was just wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. The questions were wonderful and elicited so much.
It was lovely.
Max,
Great.
just
Yeah.
Al Grasso wanted me to say greetings to you. He just
Oh, good.
It was very important to him. And I would just like to offer to everybody that the first Tuesday of December, we will have our next Artists View program on Zoom. So I hope you'll all join us then.
You know who it's going to be?
Max, that's one of the adventures in
Oh.
life. This is such a very new program
Yeah.
that it's really challenging to invite people, and there's a plethora of artists in our Baba community, and they're very shy, solitary folk in most cases.
I see. Okay.
And Max, I want to say I love your book, Towards an Interior Sun.
Oh, thank you. I love that too. Actually, I'm glad you did. It was some of these stories that were so hard to live through, and that I told little bits of tonight.
And all your work is so heart opening.
Oh, thank
And
you, dear. Thank
just
you.
being in contact with you is
Oh.
heart opening. So I just thank you.
Thank you, J Bob. I'll connect with you on Facebook soon. I would like to learn more about you. Okay. Thanks again, guys. J Baba.
Thanks,
Hey,
Max.
Baba, thank
J
you.
Baba. Okay, so I'll go. Let's see. How does one leave? How does one
J
Yeah.
Baba Max.
J Baba, everyone. Thanks all of you for coming.
And good night.
I miss seeing you at Archie. You used to come to Archie.
Yeah, hi Rosalie. Nice to see you.
Hi.
Yeah, I just got out of the habit and I like my time with Baba alone so well.
Yeah.
I haven't been able to go back, but
No, I just happened upon this.
yeah, that's
Actually,
nice. Oh,
I
that's
was
great.
talking to someone and then for some reason I didn't connect. And I heard a voice in my living room real loud say, "You've got to hang up, Rosalie." So I'm glad I came back to see. Yeah, I love to see your art and your story. Yeah,
Thank
great.
you, Jay Baba. That's great. Okay.
Good night.